Before COVID and all the guidelines and restrictions happened, we were running 3 nights a week in the space here. So on a normal night, we would start around 6:30 p.m. and we would have as many students as we could fit in the space here. When COVID hit, we moved everything onto Zoom. So obviously that changes what our program looked like, and we did a lot of body weight stuff and we did a lot of online games as well.
We noticed that the youth were really struggling with depression, and some of our youth had acquaintances who took their own lives during the pandemic, so that hit hard for our youth.
At the beginning of all of this, when we first started, it really seemed like we were just so unable to meet needs that youth had just because of just not being able to see them, not being able to be in person and encouraging them that way. And really all we could do was be consistent, and I think that made a huge difference.
I would say before the pandemic, I was able to go to the rig in person, and afterwards I wasn't, but they still had a lot of Zoom classes and Zoom calls, like 2 or 3 times a week, and that was really helpful. Definitely a highlight of my week, a lot of weeks.
Well, I think for me, it's really been just them going above and beyond and, taking me for coffee and taking me under their wing and just being real spiritual mentors for me. And I think that that's been the most important part for me, is just that connection and friendship that they've fostered with me over the years.
Yeah, they've been really good spiritual mentors, good examples of what following Christ looks like and what that means.
This program to me is very valuable. I think that especially over these months when we haven't been able to meet in person, just being able to meet weekly and like 2 or 3 times a week over Zoom has been super important. That constant connection has been really valued in my life.
I would say God has changed my life through this program by just showing me what it is to be a part of a godly community and to grow in our relationship with God together.
I think just what John and Larissa have taught me is that I can be open, and I can have this open and vulnerable relationship with this group of Christians, and to be able to grow in that group together has been super important.
Focus of our teaching times is always the gospel, Christ's work on the cross and his death and resurrection, and what that means. And obviously that message gives hope in all situations. So during the pandemic, it was a very natural and needed topic to talk about how Christ is our only hope. And I think having a time where we are restricted and we're not able to do all the things we may not want to do, and overall it might seem like a hopeless time, this really pointed us to Christ. So continually bringing up that theme that Christ is our hope was the focus, and continues to be.
So over the last year and a few months during the pandemic, it's been really good to see the youth grow in their faith. There's been a depth in their faith that we have witnessed, them realizing that there is more to life than what we see around us in the world. The trials of this world are temporary, and it's been so fulfilling to see them really focus their gaze on Jesus. And yeah, being a witness even to their fellow classmates and students, and being an encouragement to them as they receive encouragement from us on Zoom.
My hope for each student is that they would glorify Christ in their lives, that they would, first of all, receive him as Lord and Savior, in their life, and then grow in maturity, grow into the image of Christ, and keep him at the center. So that's my hope for each student, and that's if I could have one thing for them. Obviously I want them to have a good time in our program. I want them to enjoy physical fitness. I want them to progress in that, but ultimately want to just aid in their development as followers of Christ.